Welcome to Tree Talking Time, where we talk all things tree dogs. From the smallest feists to the largest hounds, treating squirrels to bears and everything in between. And from time to time, we might even run a little fast game. Start with like a memorable hunt.
I suppose it'd be time I bought Dammit out in Ohio. At Trader's Day at Canfield.
Mhm.
It's always the second weekend after Labor Day. Weekend after Labor Day.
Okay.
Was out there and brought her home, and that's kind of where it all started. I run walkers till then.
Mm-hmm. How old were you then?
Me?
Yeah.
I don't even know how many years ago that's been.
Were you like 40s?
I was in my 40s.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, Hunter would have been 5 when I
Yeah.
brought her home, my boy.
Mm-hmm.
And he took a liking to her, and she wouldn't listen around the house, listen to the wife good and Hunter good, but not me. And so it took about a year to get used to it.
How'd you bought that dog? You negotiated.
Me and Dixon was out there and walked by an Amishman. Had this dog. It looked like she was going to die, all wormy. Little brindle dog. I went by and I said, "What do you want for that?" He said, $50. I said, "Yeah, it won't make it to I'll make it to Pennsylvania." So we walked around a while and come back, and we was leaving. I had 3 dog leads over my chest. Just. I said, "Well, what do you want for her now?" He said, "Just split her in half." I said, "You split her in half again, I'll buy her." So I bought her for $12.50.
Kind of an odd price, that's for sure.
And brought her home, and she died here. She was 16.
Wow. A long life.
She made it till 16. And that was the start, and I bred her the first time for color, because she's a little brindle dog, and I bred her to a guy by the name of Kenny Martin in Dunbar, Pennsylvania. And the dog was named Rambo, and we bred her to him 3 times. Got 3 litters of pups out of her, and that's how it all started, and it went all downhill from there.
Well, before we get too far into it, why don't you introduce yourself?
My name's John Hileman, and I live in Dayton, Pennsylvania. We used to run under the Camp Run Kennel name.
And you were pretty successful.
Well, we did all right.
I remember getting Full Cry and seeing you in there quite a bit.
Yeah, I had never bought any started dogs. I started all my own dogs. Give away a few good started dogs. But everything was trained right here and raised here. Now, one that I run on the circuit was a dog by the name of Chloe. She come out of Ronnie Rakestraw stuff out of Jackson, Mississippi, out of Briar Mountain Bud.
Okay.
And she was busher.
She was busher bred.
Mm-hmm.
And then we bought another old timer, hunted with me a lot, by the name of Lenny Runde. And they had a female after I got Chloe going. It was like, 2 years later I got Belle?
Yeah.
They wanted, and I didn't want her. I mean, I had too many dogs here, and Lenny said get her, so we brought Belle home. So I had 2 out of that cross.
Mm-hmm.
And they both did real well.
Good deal. And I'm here because of my other guest. Why don't you introduce yourself?
I'm Dominic Close from Worthington, Pennsylvania. And I was probably 13 or 14 when I first met John. And wasn't even in the squirrel dogs or anything. I was actually, at the time, John's wife was my phys ed teacher at school and wanted a puppy and got my mom to finally convinced in the let me get one, and came up one day, didn't even know I was going to be able to get one, and walked down to the kennel, and John let all the puppies out, and I was getting to pick the female that I liked, and see this little female. John had chickens at the time down by the kennels, and it was latched hold of that chicken's rear end. And I said, "I want that one." John said, "Are you sure?" "Yeah, I want that one. I like that one." She has, and she's still alive today. She's and I named her Tucker. She was born in 2010. May of 2010 is when she was born. And John says, "All right, if that's the one you want, He was holding the puppy at the time, and he pulls out his pocket knife and opens it up. And I'll never forget it. He goes, "I'm cutting her left ear off, so I know this is the dog you want." And like I said, I was 13 at the time, so I pretty much sunk into my boots. I didn't know what to think at all. And, and that was the first time I ever met John, and I remember that.
Quite the impression.
Yeah, plain as day. And it was just like John said, downhill from there for me with the squirrel dogs, because then I took off with it.
Mm-hmm. But you contacted me, and I get a lot of people that say, "Hey, you should do a podcast with so and so and so and so," and some of them are great, suggestions. And there's been a few that I've contacted people on, and either they've happened or they're going to. So I mean, it's not uncommon that I contact people, but I've said this before. I prefer to do podcasts in person, and I kind of found out where John lived, and I was like, well, I'm going to be kind of going past there, so we'll make it work and we'll swing in.
Yeah, that's what I was telling John today when I come up. I'm like, several times, not just for podcasts, I've like reached out about the squirrel dogs to people that are, you see some of these people on TV that once in a blue moon you'll see on the Outdoor Channel, you'll see guys hunting with some kind of a tree dog, and you don't see it too often. And then there's little people that start off doing YouTube and stuff on hunting, and I reached out to them before and like wanting to just, hey, come hunting with my dogs for a day. And like it's really not that big of a thing around. Not too many people know about squirrel dogs.
Oh, no, not at all.
And especially, around here and back then, like I remember when I first got my first puppy off of John Tucker, it was like around home, everyone had trained walkers, and it's like, hey, you want to go coon hunting tonight? No, I think I'm going to get into something else. Just because it always just be like, I'd be ashamed if my cur dog treed a coon before your walker did. And I wasn't out there to like get one up on. I go because I like to watch dogs work and do, to me, training a dog to do something is the most satisfying thing out there. You put time into it and, and see it, the outcome of it. And then the dog is going to be as good as you want it to be.
Yeah.
Much time as you put into it. And I've said it plenty of times, we'll get into later on what Tucker accomplished and whatnot. But when I first got her, I had a little XR80 dirt bike, and I lived right there by a bunch of beef farms. I'd come home from school when she was big enough to run beside that dirt bike, and as soon as I get off the bus, I was on that dirt bike, and she'd chase me back to the woods. And John had suggested, because I never had a pup before, on how to train her. And I started off, I built a bunch of these squirrel feeders.
Yep.
Put them a couple feet off the ground, fill them full of shelled corn. They look like a wood duck walk.
Yeah. And
you go back there and you see one of them fox squirrels come flying out of that squirrel feeder, and then that pup would be standing right there, and it's just, that's all you had to do.
Yep.
And then a couple times of it, she knows then that, well, the squirrels come out of that box and stick her nose inside that hole, and then she picks her head back real quick, and out comes a squirrel right at her. You know what I mean? And that gets them started and going, and then just running them with other dogs. And I was fortunate enough for John to trust me with some of his prized dogs.
Yeah.
To have to run mine with to help train them too.
Nope, I got fortunate and had the same opportunity, and unfortunately my first pup didn't quite work out. But yeah, it's nice to have somebody that's willing to.
They all don't make it.
That they don't.
And I can't say it here, but they don't all make it.
Nope, that's for sure.
I probably got rid of better dogs than some people owned because there was only so many hours in a day.
Oh yeah.
No,
and then I would run squirrels during the day. I worked in the mines, and then like in this fall, I'd coon up my squirrel dogs. I run them on both.
Yeah.
And majority of the time, every dog here was run at least 3-4 days a week.
Now, starting off, I'm going to guess that a puppy that you bought for $12.50 wasn't registered
No,
What
I
was it?
registered her. Yeah,
WTDA,
well, she was registered WTDA, but
NKC.
Tree and Kerr.
Okay.
I'd registered Tree and Kerr.
Now, when you bought, Damn It out at Canfield, it was a Canfield fair. You said, yeah.
Canfield Traders Day.
You bought that dog for your boy
Just to
have.
get him started. Yeah, just a dog.
It was
Yeah.
a dog. You never even. You told me, I thought, that you didn't even know that it was a squirrel dog.
No, it was just a little brindle dog.
You
It was.
know
It was
really what it was.
he bought it for a companion dog for his. You know
Just
what I
to
mean?
run
Just,
loose around here.
Yeah.
yeah, just somebody to chase after him.
And she started on her own. I gave her a dog jockey we had up here by the name of George Burdett. I seen him down at the club one night, and I said, "Hey, George," I said, "you're going by." I said, "Get that dog off my porch." I couldn't catch her.
Mhm.
But you'd load the hounds, she'd be the first one in the box. You go to a tree, she'd be treeing with the hounds. You never put a lead on her. Start the truck, she'd be in the box. And then finally she hooked in, and I think the first year that my ex-father-in-law and my boy hunted, I think they killed 70 with her.
Nice.
And he would have been about 6. Might have been turning 7 then. And then the first hunt we ever went to was in West Virginia. West Virginia state hunt. We hunted with Chuck Loud.
Yeah.
And Ellen Franklin was there. But anyway, we took 6th in the squirrel hunt. We'd got a motel room, and I said, I ain't sitting here all night, so I went back and hunted the coon hunt, and I took 1st with it.
There you go.
But then West Virginia's squirrel hunt state hunt was one day, and the coon hunt wasn't a state coon hunt. It was just a coon hunt.
Yeah.
Charlie, what was the other guy? Had a babe dog. He was big into dogs in Ohio. We hunted with him many a time. But he had the world champion. I drew her in that hunt. My boy and I thought, oh boy. But you learned that don't let the titles fool you.
Yeah, and at the same point, they're all dogs.
Everyone can make a mistake at any given time.
You can have a dog look like $1 million one night and
22 shell the next.
Exactly. That one standing out back behind my car is a prime example of that. Some nights he looks really good. Other nights, not so much.
But like I said, out of all the dogs that I've raised and hunted in the hunts and sold, there was only 2 that didn't come out of the kennel.
Okay.
I mean, I raised everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I went with the same male with Damn It for 4 litters. No. I bred her once to Tank.
Yeah.
Richard Haver out of West Virginia, Burnsville. He had a Tank dog. Big, ungodly dog. He was, don't know. Can't think of what breed he was. But he was a cur dog.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I had a lot of fun with him. I mean, wore out a lot of boots.
Yeah.
And it kept me out of trouble. Kept me in shape.
Yeah,
I've hunted in 11 states.
Let's kind of go through some of your accomplishments, because I know we talked on the phone before and you were telling me some of it. And I told you, hang on, just save some of this, because
I think I made between 16 and 17 squirrel champions or better. Well, I won the PA state, twice in a row. Squirrel hunt and coon hunt one time. That was with Chloe.
Yeah, was that the time Chloe had a belly full of pups? And
Yeah, I didn't win the squirrel hunt. Yeah, she had a belly full of puppies.
Steve Dixon was running her that hunt.
Well, that was the world hunt.
That was the world hunt.
But she had a belly full of pups, and I ran her down in West Virginia and won. No, that was PA, down in Laurelville. Won. 2 days later, she had 7 pups.
jeez.
But I think didn't you lost her in that hunt for a little bit at the end of the hunt. I think
That was Dick's hunt. That was the world hunt. We lost her.
Lost her.
Yeah, she wasn't. She was at the truck.
Because Steve Dixon,
That's when they first diagnosed me with my lung trouble.
Yeah, that's
and we
why.
went to the world hunt at New Philly, Ohio.
And John was sitting in the truck, and Chloe was one of them Chloe was, in my opinion, a one of a kind. My Tucker dog that is Chloe's mom. I mean, she's almost nowhere close. In my opinion, she's good, but she was nothing like Chloe. It'll be if I ever see a dog like Chloe again in my lifetime, I'll be surprised. That dog she wouldn't hunt in that coon hunt. She would.
We went to go down to that would be in October. Anyway, they diagnosed me with all these troubles. And I couldn't get my air and I couldn't walk. And Dixon says, well, I'll take her down. Now, he's a big hound hunter, lives down the road here. But Steve and I worked together. And the boy took a dog by the name of Crusher. Now, he's out of Dammit. And we went to the World Hunt down at New Philly, Ohio. And Friday night was the beginning. And then they got you down to 2 casts on Saturday. And we got whittled down. It was 2 curs and 2 hounds for Saturday night. Well, anyway, we made the first dump. I didn't get out of the truck. Well, I'm sitting there, and I seen the lights go off down through the log edge of the cornfield. All of a sudden, I felt the truck bounce. And she's standing on the end gate. She wouldn't hunt.
Yeah.
Well, they made a loop in there, and no strikes. They didn't get no trees, so they come back. And I get out of the truck, and I said to the judge, I said, can I go with you? If I can't keep up, don't worry. So I'm not scared of the dark, and I know where the truck is. We weren't out of the truck 10 minutes, she was straight. And that was the way, as long as I was in the woods.
Yep.
But if I wasn't there, she wouldn't hunt for nobody.
Yeah. There's dogs like that, that's for sure.
But she was a house dog. That's the only dog we ever had in the house. I got her in February. Maynard Olin brought her up from Tennessee in a snowstorm in February out of Mississippi. And it was cold here, and we couldn't put her in the kennel. So she come to the house, and she was in the house the day she died. And she was my buddy.
Yep.
Like I said, then I had a dog by the name of Angel. She was out of, she was out of Charlie and Tom Rogers' Windy dog. I bred a Nolo Windy. I got a pup out of that.
Okay.
And I called her Angel. Everything was my kid named the dogs.
Yeah.
There was Charlie. There was Charlie's Angel. And she started quick. She was probably the best squirrel dog I ever had, but you couldn't handle her. Every dog I had, you could hunt without a lead, mostly. You couldn't with her. I mean, and she was a dog that come off the truck. You want to go to the right, she went to the left, she'd go a tree.
Yep.
And I won a lot of hunts with her. I won the world with her.
She a white dog?
Little red dog.
Okay.
She ended up going to Kevin Baxter. No, Kevin?
The Baxters, they're down North Carolina.
North Carolina.
Yeah.
They called. Ronnie Rakestraw called one day, and he said that they wanted to go to the PKC World Hunt, and I would not hunt for money. It was bad enough hunting for a trophy.
Yep.
And would I lend my dog to the Baxters? Well, they called me first. Keith. Jordan Baxter. That was his name, the boy.
Yeah,
anyway,
Jordan's a boy.
And Keith was the old man, and they called and said, would you lend us your dog? And this is a guy I never heard of before.
Yeah.
And I'm going, huh? Well, Ronnie Rakestraw told us to call you. Well, Ronnie and I'd talk on the phone about once a week. He said, I'll get back to you. I called Ronnie. I said, what did you get me into? He said, they're good people, John. I said, oh, okay. So the wife and I drove down and dropped her off. And when I left her there, I said, I want her back. She's not for sale. It was like within 3 weeks, they wanted a state hunt down there with her. They called and they wanted her. And the price kept getting bigger. And I thought, well, if I bring her home, I'll get killed on the road. So I just sold her. And she stayed. But she was just a little over 2. I had her finish Grand Squirrel Champion.
Okay.
I mean, she wasn't much of a night dog. But every pup I come out of here, I mean, I trained them. 90% of them. They never got away from me.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That one litter that was Charlie, Brownie, a.k.a. Wilma,
Halo.
no, Halo wasn't out of that litter. Foxy, I don't know, but too many. But anyway, I think I made 4 score champions out of one litter.
Wow. That's impressive. That takes a lot of it takes a lot of work.
Time.
It does.
But I live here. There's no neighbors. I'm 3/4 of a mile from the nearest neighbor, and I had squirrel feeders out where you'd pop up over a creek bank, and right there the corn was, and but a lot of hours, a lot of boots.
That's a nice place to start some pups. That's for sure.
I left them run loose here.
Yeah.
But you could never leave more than 2, mostly just one, because they'd get into trouble.
Yeah.
And as soon as they'd start treeing, they'd go to the kennel. When unless somebody was here to watch for them. But usually when I was home and working around, whether it was yard work or whatever, there was a dog loose.
Yeah.
I've had a couple hitting the road. But that goes with the game.
Mm-hmm. Your road doesn't look like it gets a ton of traffic, though.
This time of year, hunting season.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll get a lot of traffic on the weekends and Fridays. But then after that, you look up and you know what time it is because with neighbors coming home from work.
Yeah.
Yeah, anymore it seems like there's more horse and buggy traffic on it than
Yeah, that's what
motored vehicles.
When I first turned on the first farm up here, it looked like it was Amish.
There is right here. They just bought this farm here 4 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, then who was Halo out of? Where did
Halo was out of Angel. An Angel I bred to Johnny, and I'd get his last name messed up. Johnny W. out of Tennessee. Now he had a male dog out of Ronnie Rakestraw. That was before I got Chloe. Or at the same time. Briar Mountain.
Bud?
No, that's his dad. That would be her granddad. He'll kill me if he listens to this. I can't think of that dog's name. But Greg Rader, now there's another one. He's from Tennessee. He was the one that got me started in the Briar Mountain stuff.
Okay.
Greg, back in the day, my boy would get me on Squirrel Dog Central.
Yep.
Well, at night in the wintertime, I'd get on the chat. I tied up with this Hunter TN, which his guy was Greg Rader. He just lived north of Memphis, Tennessee. And he wanted a dog. And I had that Brownie dog, a.k.a. Wilma. That's where she died at. But anyway, I said I had one. And she was cheap to him. So I met him at Cincinnati, Ohio. And he took her there. And ever since that, I haven't seen Greg for 2 years. Mm-hmm. But he would blow in here on a Friday night and stay over at camp. But I think Greg pretty well got out of it. Age gets us. We're not getting any younger. And he was one that got me into the Briar Mountain stuff. Matter of fact, Chloe, he sent me a picture, and he said, "Here, I got you something." He called her Flea, little wee black dog with brown legs. And you got to have this dog. I said, "I don't want it." You got to try it. Well, then I come home and she done. She was, before her 7th month, I made her into a squirrel champion.
Oh, wow.
And then she got on deer. And we run deer for 4 months. I mean, she'd run every deer in the country. And I never got her broke. She quit. I put more electric through her than West Penn Power. And she would not. And all of a sudden, she just quit.
That's weird.
Yep. She'd run them out of the yard. I mean, because she was never tied up. She never was kenneled. She rode the front seat of the truck at the hunts. I mean.
Yeah, she was the baby of the whole camp run.
Yeah.
The going of it.
So you said your female's out of her?
Out of Chloe.
Yeah, Tucker. Yeah, Tucker was out of Chloe. That was Chloe and Crush.
Yes, Chloe and Crusher. Because that
Chloe.
old Crusher dog of mine, he was probably one of the best stud dogs around, but nobody wanted to breed to him because he was, I just said what they were. Damage pup.
Mhm.
And everybody wanted OMC or whatever. But you got to
Yeah.
put a little
Tree and cur.
Tree and cur. You got to put a little hound in them to make them tree. But I never bred hound in them.
Okay.
Whatever I had here, I just kept. I mean, we always bred the pretty decent male dogs.
Now, would that be considered, were you line breeding then?
No, because I'd breed the Rebel. That was his name, Brown Mountain Rebel. No, I never line breed nothing.
It was just different bloodlines that you would.
But I would breed the
Yeah.
same dog to the same male 2 or 3 times. You know,
Mhm.
but I wouldn't breed the females. The pups back to them. No.
Gotcha.
But that Crusher dog, I hunted him. That was the first
You thought.
Chloe, Crusher, and Halo were the 3 winners, the prize possessions out of the kennel when I first came up and had met John. And I got Tucker, and she was real young, and my grandfather drove me out to the highway that John would come down through when he got off work on Friday, and dropped me and Tucker off to John, and we come up here, and I stayed at his place for the weekend. And that night, I remember it clear. We were over at the Sportsman's Club hunting, and we were getting ready for one of the hunts that was coming up, night hunts. And we treed, I don't know how many coon that night. It was amazing. That was the first time I was ever out at night coon hunting with curs or coon hunting in general. And so I was just, smiles all night long because it was just a really good night. The dogs looked amazing. And I remember walking Crusher down the road to go back to the truck. And that dog, he was built. He was square, blocky head. And he about pulled me into the ditch of the road. And I remember John yelling at me, "Cut him loose, just cut him loose." Snapped the dog lead, and he tore off, and I don't know, within 40, 50 yards was just hammering on a tree. But that dog, a coon must have crossed the road right there when we were up in the other side of the woods hunting. And he caught wind of it when we come down the road, and like I said, he about pulled me clear to the tree. That dog there was one of a kind because we had the Garmins. It would have been the Astro.
220s.
What was it?
The Astro 220s.
Yep, that's what they were.
Yeah.
First ones that come out.
Yep. And I remember, and John can speak for this too, you could sit there at night or squirrel hunting, and you could look at that Garmin.
I could tree him before he barked.
Yep, you could. He would throw
look like a 3-leaf clover.
Yep.
When he checked.
Okay.
Never say a word.
He wouldn't bark when he checked or nothing. You could just see it on the Garmin. You'd see one loop out, next one, and then when he was coming around the third one, and he'd start coming back up in where he first started making the loops out from the tree, you could pretty much say tree Crusher, and then you'd hear him.
Well, you run Crusher in the first youth hunt.
Yeah, down in West Virginia.
Yeah, but that wasn't at Buchanan.
Yeah.
Wesson?
I think, yeah. Yeah, because I'll never forget it. Was that
you beat Hunter out that day?
Yeah, I beat Hunter out that day, and it was my first WTDA competition hunt I'd ever been to. And remember, we got I'm learning all of it as we're going, and we get our cast, draw dogs out, and I don't know what this lady's name was, but she was guiding us, me and this other young kid. And this young kid he gets his dog, and I looked at John, and I'm like, this kid really bringing a Jack Russell out of the back of the truck? And I remember John said, you can bring a golden retriever to the WTDA hunts. You can register whatever you want as a tree dog.
Yep.
And I had Crusher, and we ran against a Jack Russell that day, and we looked at a good bit of squirrels. I can't remember what we ended up coming out of the woods with on points wise, but I placed.
You were cast winner.
Yeah, I was cast winner of that one.
6th, 5th?
I think 5th or 6th place I ended up getting that.
Because Hunter was back. He didn't win his cast.
Yeah.
Because he was fought on the way home in the back seat of the truck.
Yeah.
I mean, they were like 14,
Yeah.
Yeah, they used to.
and that's the first time as well that I remember seeing a feist dog.
Yeah.
And I never, up until then, I didn't know what it was. And I said to John, I said, "What's that dog over there? It looks like a red fox." That's I call them a fox dog. They look like a fox to me. Just a couple of them down there had these big bushy tails, and
Leakus.
Okay.
I was always intrigued by them too. And I always still say that my boy just turned 2 years old, and once he gets 4 or 5 years old, I think I'm gonna get one of them feist dogs. I just always was intrigued by them. I never got owned one. I want to own one someday here, and I think that'd be
There you go.
try to get my boy into, you know what I
Mhm.
mean, get him one of them.
So we were going over some publications and other notable things that you've been involved in, and you showed me a few things. So why don't you tell everyone that's listening?
You mean hunts that we won, or well?
No, like you this outdoor life here.
I we've been in the outdoor life. American Hunter. ESPN started it out in Parsons, Tennessee. We went out there for the second cancer hunt. And they interviewed my boy. Well, Greg Rader was one in Sheetsy, Gary Sheets. He was from Newcastle. We were good friends. And matter of fact, when Gary went out, I sent 2 dogs with him because I couldn't go to hunt. I had to go. I was working. So he was out there the week, I don't know, 4 or 5 days before. So he was running my dogs and his too.
Okay.
And this is how that started. And ESPN did the article. And then Outdoor Life picked it up, and they wanted to come and do a deal here at the house. But I just pulled a litter of pups off of her, and she was a mess. You know, bag hanging down, skinny.
Yeah.
You know how they get. And I refused them, so they just kind of took a picture that we sent to them, and Outdoor Life, American Hunter, Sports Afield, and ESPN did it. And Cabela's, back when, I don't know, Hunter was 12. Well, when he won the World Reserve World Hunt, the adult World Hunt, they were going to sponsor him. They give him $2,000 worth of clothes up front.
Awesome.
And the only thing is any picture that was taken better be a Cabela's logo in the picture.
Yeah.
So that's when I took all the dogs and put them in his name.
Okay.
I was backup handler. And that worked for 1 year, not even that. He wouldn't get out of bed and go hunting one day. He said he quit. So I made him send everything back. That was the end of his. I went to the New Year's Open in Ohio that day with a Charlie dog and won it and brought home and threw the trophy in bed with him. He was still in bed when I got home. Cold trophy in the middle of winter.
So did you hunt mostly WTDA hunts?
That's all we had up here. Now, NKC, when I first started, NKC was down in around Laurelville, and then they faded them out. And we tried to get some back. I hunted, majority of them was WTDA, but they were all registered NKC.
Okay.
And Chloe, I run her in the Tennessee OMC hunt, Original Mountain Curve. She was Original Mountain Curve.
Yeah.
Titled. That was in Clarksville, Tennessee. She was a bench champion in OMC, but I never finished her squirrel hunts because they were all of them was too far away.
Yeah.
In just with the squirrel dog career, I had a '99 Chevy pickup in my park that had 237,000 on it.
Jeez.
But I would come home on a Friday night from work and be in Michigan Saturday morning for the state hunt, and turn around and be home Saturday night for supper.
It's a lot of driving.
But we enjoyed it. I mean, we weren't into it for the money. I was no puppy mill. I mean, and what dogs I did sell was the younger people. I had a dog we called Doc, Murdoch. Now, his dad was Charlie.
Yeah.
I bred a guy, Denny Weaver had her, and they wanted to breed to Charlie, and what I said, I want the ugliest pup. And he said, what do you mean? I said, them ugly ones are easy to shoot. That was my opinion in life, you know. So he called, and the third pup was born. He said, "I got your pup," and that dog was ugly. Called him Doc. I called him Dockadoo. Hell of a coon dog. And a little boy up the road, well, he's a man now. He had some problems in life. I mean, it was not family problems. It was the way he was born.
Mm-hmm.
And he couldn't talk real good. So I ended up, Eric got him. They kept him the day he died. He was one of the ugliest dogs you ever seen.
What do you look like?
He was kind of a blonde and white, half blonde face, half white face. I mean, he was ugly.
Didn't have a halo tail, did he?
No.
Remember that tail that Halo had, that half crooked, broken tail?
Seen a few like that.
Them's the ones that ain't docked. You ever notice?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because the Tucker dog that I was telling you about that I had at Chloe, I don't know how old she would have been at the time. She was probably 4, 5 years old, and I wanted to breed her. And we were up here at John's with Nate Tyree and a couple other guys were up here. I don't know if it was for the last day of squirrel season hunt or not, but Nate at the time owned Tyree's Amazing Hooch, and I bred him to my Tucker dog.
Yeah.
And I just graduated high school, and I was working out in Gettysburg. I got into the oil field, got into the pipeline and stuff like that. And I come home, and I remember getting out of the truck, first not being home for 3 months, and Tucker is wide as a semi. And I'm like, oh my goodness. She's like about ready to pop. And it was never forget it. It was the last day of archery season, and I didn't get to hunt at all, bow hunt, because I was out of town working, and I went bow hunting in the morning. I shot a buck, and I get back home, take my hunting clothes off to go take care of this buck, and I just hear this squawking, squealing, and noises all through the basement of the house. I obviously live with my parents still, and Tucker had started having her puppies. Anybody that's ever had a litter of pups knows of, afterbirth and that whole mess that comes out with it. Well, yeah, that was through the downstairs carpet, my bedroom.
Oh, lovely.
I'm looking for puppies. There's puppies under my bed in my bedroom. And so I finally get all these puppies gathered up, and I'm wiping them all down. Call my mom. She comes home from work,
No, you called me first.
Yeah, I did. I called you.
What was there, 13 of them?
No, not at that time. There was only like 6. And I'm like, oh, she had 6 pups. That's, we're good.
Manageable.
Yeah, we're good. Yeah. So I get them all cleaned up. Mom comes home, wiping them all down. Tucker's in the whelping box, where she originally should have been, around. So she had her pups there. And I left. I went to go, I think, finish taking care of my deer. And I get back home a little bit later, and I remember looking at my mom dead in the eyes. I said, what happened? And Mom goes, after you left, she started having more. And she ended up having 14 puppies.
Wow.
And
she raised them all?
Yeah. We bottle fed, helped her out. We bottle fed some of them. And I kept a male out of that breeding named Tig. And all of them, half of them, I'd say, went to hunting homes. But when at 14 dogs, puppies, I think the neighbor up the road got one. My aunt got 2. Then she hunts them, Nala and Copper. But that litter, the ones that went to homes that were hunted, and even the ones that weren't going to homes that hunted, to me, they're the best house dog, the companion dog ever. Just the one guy got one. He lives on a dairy farm. It runs free, and he called like a year ago wanting another one because it roams around, kills coons, possums, groundhogs, and they're all around. I think they're a great dog.
Definitely.
And I remember it was a couple months after all them pups was gone, but I didn't know it at the time. But my dad was, when someone came to get a pup, he was giving them papers to register them, WTDA. Well, all these people filled them out, when they got home and stuff, sent them in WTDA and registered their dog.
Yeah.
They were a house dog. They weren't going to hunt them. Well, then I get this package in the mail one day, and it's a plaque, and it says Breeder of the Year for 2014 WTDA. You know how many people were a little bit mad about that? I had one litter one time in my life with curs, and I got Breeder of the Year because everyone I didn't know it, and everyone registered their dog. And you got big name guys out there that are having litters of pups, and they didn't get it and whatnot. And now I think it's funny, but back then I'm like, oh, I just put a big target on my back. But no, we've had a lot of fun out there with the squirrel dogs, and I think what's the bigger dogs, John, that you've ran against, in the hunts back when we would go to the hunts a bunch. The dogs, it's like, so and so will be there. That'll be some competition.
We had Ronnie McLean.
Ron Smith.
Ronnie McLean was a trap dog.
Yeah. Oh,
back in the day.
Yeah. I guess you're right. Yeah, back in when I'm asking your time.
I run with Alan Franklin, Chuck Loudon. I was a little guy that come off the street, and but I don't know. I didn't blow my horn or nothing. We just go to a hunt just to do it.
Yeah.
And the first time I went to the cancer hunt, I run the Charlie dog out there, pulled in there, and that was in February. It was like a foot of ice and snow in the front of my dog walks in the truck. It's sitting out in the parking lot, and it's melting, and we're running around T-shirts, and they're all bundled up. It's 40 degrees. Guy come in, he said, "You from Pennsylvania?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "There's something running out of your truck." I said, "Yeah, it's water." Well, them kids found it. Was making snowballs. Because they weren't used to winter.
Yeah.
We pulled in there, and guy said to me, he said, "You must have a pretty good dog drive this far." I said, "He's the best one I own." I mean, and that's the way it was. And we got to the woods, pulled him out, and I said, "This dog hasn't seen leaves since November." I said, "He's been running snow." That was the first one. I made 2 trips to the cancer, and I think they quit that. I think like 3 years, and then they shut it down. It was in Parsons. They had a good turnout.
Mm-hmm.
Then my ex-wife was a breast care. She was into the Susan B. Coleman breast thing. So Laurelville and her tied together, and we started to have a cancer hunt down there.
Okay.
And we would pull 30, 35 dogs.
Mm. Yeah, it raised a lot of money.
And that hunt would make between $4,000 and $5,000 one day.
Wow.
But we got a lot of donations, like Amish country, and people bring stuff. And we had an auction. And
awesome.
And they Laurelville, Bruce Knop Snyder, and George Bossett, Jimmy Queer, they run the kitchen, and they give all the money to her. They kept the money from the night hunt, the kitchen money, the last hunt.
Mm-hmm.
But it turned out good. We had it there for 6 years, 7 years.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a good turnout. And then in this area, we have no black squirrels.
Yeah.
So I went north to hunt black squirrels.
Mm-hmm.
Emporium, you've heard of that. I started hunting up there, and I got tired up with a guy from the fire company, and that was just when they started bringing the youth squirrel season in the Saturday before.
Okay.
Well, the last trip up, we had 16 kids hunting. I had every dog would tree a squirrel. And that was kind of exciting. Every year we go up I've been back up that way for.
Was that the guy that you and I went up there that time? And his wife that made us at dinner?
The Indian woman.
Yeah.
No, that was at Brockway.
Oh, okay.
So how long did you have the John Hileman annual squirrel hunt?
Up there, they had it 4 years.
Okay.
The last year, the fire company had them hats made out, so we all had an orange hat.
There you go. For all the listeners, he just showed me a hat with it. Had a squirrel hunt named after him. That's something.
Yeah, and then every year, I don't know how many years we did it, but kind of like
over
how
camp
Jukebox does the meat hunt.
Yeah.
We do the last day of squirrel season thing. It was just our
Everybody get together, and the longest tail, longest gray and longest fox. And it started on Thursday. Now, I've got a next piece of property over. I got a 14 by 70 trailer.
Okay.
That's my camp. And they'd all congregate in there.
Mm-hmm.
I think the best we had was, 36 guys?
Yeah.
His dad would come up and cook chicken wings. And I mean, it was just
It was a good time.
and you hunted whoever, and whenever night you wanted to go night hunting. And
Yeah, because the boys would come up from West Virginia, and down there, they didn't, have a lot of coon,
Yeah.
and they didn't shoot a lot. So when they would come up here for the last day of squirrel season, I'm like, all right, would take a night, would go down to my house, and they would just be in awe because we would just kill coon all night. You know, I'm like, we don't have to let that one sit. Like, trust me, like we got more than you can think of.
Yep.
And it was a good time. I don't know how many squirrels we had that one year. The dog box
27.
Yeah, I was gonna say the dog box picture was heaped
full.
up pretty good.
Because they put them on top of my dog box and put Chloe in front of it. Took a picture. Yeah, that was good times.
John, why don't you tell us about? You don't have to say the name of the location, but where a lot of good squirrel dogs of yours ran, and a lot of squirrels were killed.
Oh, yeah.
And when you started going out there,
in PA, our archery seasons in that back then, our squirrel season didn't come into like the second week of October.
Yep.
Well, I live in farming country, and there's no public hunting. And I know all the farmers around, but their grandkids and their sons, they all bow hunt.
Yep.
Well, that kind of interfered with me running around with dogs and the ruts on, and I didn't want to cause a lot of problems, so I went into Ohio. And that was before season, the next year. And I found a place out there, 9,000 acres.
There you go.
It turned out my cousin lived right beside it. Well, yeah, we'd be cousin. So I took my camper out, and I hunted that 7 years.
Yeah.
And I would stay out there and hunt. I'd leave here Friday, come back Sunday night, because you could hunt Sundays.
Yep.
And I was out there 6 years, I think. But I would stay out there to our second season here. Then I'd run squirrels here.
Yeah.
But I didn't. And mostly we killed right around 300 a year.
It's impressive.
I get tired of eating them.
And out there where he found those 9,000 acres, there was never a single gray squirrel.
Oh, yeah,
Everything was fox.
And I made a trip out with him.
The first time out, Dawn went with me, and he was still in school.
Yeah.
And he didn't have his Social Security number to get his license. So we got there. He had to call his mom at school, where she was teaching. So I said, well, we'll just go up the road and hunt. I said, until she calls.
Yeah.
Well, out there, I'd always run young dogs.
Mm-hmm.
And I wouldn't kill everyone, but I'd thin them out because they're so lousy. No, I was the only one hunting them out in that area, mostly. So I shot my limit there, and he was mad. He kept saying, you ain't going to leave nothing for me. But he got his limit that day.
Yeah, I ended up getting my license, and it was up until a couple years ago, I think it was, and when PA changed it. But out there, you could use the 22 semi to squirrel hunt with.
Yep.
And I actually, what was
Danny Hamilton.
Danny Hamilton had this Browning Buckmark semi 22. And I actually bought one. I ordered one probably 5 years ago because the gun always stuck with me. I always liked it. And I remember just running the clip empty out there because it was just, to me, I was like, wow, this is awesome. You can hunt with a 22 semi out in the high. Like, this is cool. And we killed a pile. We killed 27 fox squirrels in a day and a half that time out there. And you could hunt all day and kill a pile of squirrels. And then as soon as it got dark, you could go out in the same woods and kill even as many or more coon.
Oh, yeah.
Out there. And you never even were tired either because it was awesome. It was flat as a pancake, oak trees.
Get lost.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's so flat. You don't realize how far you walk.
I got used to it after a while. But the first couple times out there, I got tangled up so bad.
Yep.
If it wasn't for the garment, I'd have been in bad shape.
Yeah, several times I remember, John. You mark the truck?
You got to.
Yeah.
There's no landmarks.
No.
But, I mean, it's something that there probably ain't a lot of dogs out there with my names on the papers because I didn't make a lot.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't dump 200 puppies on the ground.
Yeah.
But I didn't do it for that.
Yeah. You weren't breeding to be a breeder.
No, everybody has a hobby.
Mhm.
You know, and that was my hobby, and I don't know. I miss it, but I can't do it now.
Yeah.
I just told Dawn the other day that we're going to make a trip to Ohio. I'll ride out with him to that one woods that my favorite woods.
Yeah.
And because I've made a lot of puppies in that woods.
Yeah. Yeah, you have.
A lot of pups. But even the guys from Tennessee would meet us up there. I mean, they'd come up for 3 days, and we'd rent a cabin, and I pulled my camper in beside the cabin up there. All be one big family, and it was the camaraderie. I don't know how you want to put it. I mean, it's, you know, it was always somebody was on the phone. Where are you hunting at tomorrow?
Yep.
Somebody hunting with you tomorrow. Then I had Leonard Blundy, bless his soul. He had a heart attack and died on us. And he was a character. He was always in Ohio with us.
Mm-hmm.
What one didn't think of, Lenny did.
Yeah. Yeah.
Lenny had a dog he got off of Clark's.
Okay.
You ever hear of them?
Yeah.
Out of
Missouri.
And that's how I come home one night, and she said that this guy from Pittsburgh called me. She said he was asking all kinds of questions. Well, I called him. He started. And I'm kind of to myself, and he wanted to meet with me, so I wouldn't bring him to the house. And he had a dog called him Sam. And he didn't know how to train him. And I told him, I said, when you're on your second pair of boots, you got him about licked.
Yep.
And then we went from Sam to Bell.
Yep, Bell. I had a puppy out of Bell. Anna. I had her. I think she just treated her first coon all by herself. And it wasn't like 3 weeks later, she's hit on the road.
It's a shame.
But like I still have my 2 original Camp Run dogs. Tucker, she's 12 years old right now.
Mm-hmm.
And still, a couple weeks ago on a Sunday, I took her and Tig out and cut them loose, and she treed right along right beside Tig.
There you go.
She don't have no stop. And Chloe was the same way. Chloe could be laying on the couch and Chloe, go get a squirrel. Tucker's the same.
Open the door.
You couldn't open that door fast enough, or go get the kitty. They'd terrorize the heck out of the house cat. But
well, Dom said before you came saying about my kennel setup, which he envied it. I've got 7 kennel down by my barn, cement floor, but I've gravity flow water.
Okay.
So I never watered my dogs.
Yeah.
I had a 4-inch pipe with holes cut in.
Yep.
All winter long, the water just kept running through.
Yeah, natural spring water.
There you go.
Flowed right down through it. Most ideal setup.
Yep. No chipping ice in the winter, nothing. Just turn the water up a little faster.
There you go.
It was a fun life. It was a fun run. But now I think WTDA, I don't get full cry anymore.
Well, you should, because you're going to be in it.
And
once again.
I helped Lil Moats out in this part of the country. I was I don't know what you want to call it, master hounds. Well, I got Butler Club hooked up. Cherry Run, Hawthorne. We joined Butler. Butler had some member problems, so Dix and I went out there and joined. And we had one world hunt, I think, of Butler.
Yeah. Yeah, you got
Yeah, we had one world hunt of Butler for WTDA.
Mm-hmm.
I joined out there. I was the only one with curs.
Yeah.
So they had their buddy hunts in
mm-hmm.
one Saturday or two, every other Saturday or however it went. So they were having a meeting, and they said about me, I said, well, if you take one thing out of the rules, I'll hunt. Because they run UKC rules.
Yeah.
You got to strike or your dog got to strike. I said, my dog don't strike.
Mm-hmm.
I said, you take that one roll out and I'll hunt.
Yeah.
I turned out number 2 of the year at Butler
There you go.
with the hounds. I mean, she was good. I mean, she was a better coon dog than she was a squirrel dog. She
only squirrel hunted
because I wanted to.
because John wanted squirrel hunt.
Gotcha.
I mean, that dog would give it 100%. That little dog, a Halo, I sent her to Ryan Clancy when I got sick because I couldn't hunt her.
Mhm.
And she was up on the top of the list.
Yeah.
I
she
mean,
was.
they all had their good niches and
Yeah.
their boneheadedness, you know. But Halo, she was a little blonde dog.
Mhm.
Good carrying voice. That's one thing about her. You could hear her for 2 miles.
Yep.
Wow.
And she would open up sometimes on the ground, like when she would
If
go
they
to,
were hot.
yeah, if they were hot,
Mhm.
she would open up a little bit.
But she would get in these little hollows here, and a lot of guys wouldn't hear their dog.
Mhm.
She'd come right out. You'd hear her.
It's impressive. Most cur mouse are not that great.
Most of mine, Crusher had a hound mouth to him.
Oh yeah, he had that chop, and like you knew when to tree him in a hunt because he just had that 3 in a row chop
Mhm.
right away. And once you heard that, he wasn't gonna leave. If you didn't hear that, don't tree him.
That was like that Halo dog. She had a double chop, but you might be able to tree her on the second bark, or you might never tree her. You'd be in a hunt and she'd lay into it, and everybody said, "Ain't a tree dog." I said, "No, she's not treed." She ain't moving. I said, "Yeah, but she's not treed." Then she'd throw that double chop. I said, "Just tree her." Because she didn't throw that,
Yeah.
you didn't know whether she was going to stay put. Now, Angel was a 1 bark tree dog.
Okay.
She was a dog but she was mostly 700-800 yards from you.
Gotcha.
She was too deep for me. I liked them 500 yards at most.
Yeah.
But Angel would, if there was a squirrel, she'd find it. I think one hunt I've ever been in and I never treated a squirrel with, and that was at Yellow High at 10 degrees and the wind was blowing sideways.
Jeez.
And I did get her treed, but I took a minus, but I was on the paper. I was the only dog. She went in and barked once, and I treated her at the end of the hunt. I said, I'll take a chance.
Yep.
And whether she run into something, I don't know. Yeah, it's a dying sport, at least this area.
Oh yeah. This area is definitely not a hot spot.
I've had different boys call me and wanting dogs and pups, and they still, I don't know how they come up with my name. And somebody told me that you might know. I lost Chloe 2 years ago.
Okay.
And took up walleye fishing, and I don't need a dog. Because now I can go with the boat. Whenever I get home, I get home.
Yep.
Yeah, and that's pretty much anymore. I like I said, I still have my 2 camp run bloodline dogs, and I don't know what it was with me with them, but I got to a point where just hunting all the time, and like when you went to Ohio, you kind of got spoiled because there was mostly always going to be a squirrel at the top of the tree.
Oh yeah.
And like hunting at home, I think the best day I ever had was a 3-man limit in one day. And other than that, I just kind of think I got burnt out a little bit of it.
Yeah.
From walking the trees with a hole, a nest.
They won't set. The grays won't set. Them fox squirrels will set. They're
Oh,
like
yeah.
an old cat. They'll be sitting there in a limb.
And I think that's what kind of I lost a little bit interest in it. Like I said, I still take mine out once in a while, but
Yeah.
within the last couple of years, I'd gotten in the beagles, and I own 2 beagles of my own, and my cousin Tyler Crispin, he's a big dog guy. He has a good bit of coyote hounds and beagles as well, and so him and I now kind of mix some stuff around. I have a couple of his and run some beagles and chase some rabbits, and
There you go.
I'm still want to, but I want to kill a black squirrel with my dogs, and that's, yeah. And John's got it. He got his, and I still want to get that someday. And I see I don't know if it's down south, but them fox squirrels that have that color.
Alabama.
Yep.
They're piebald.
Yeah.
I killed 2 of them when I was down there.
Yeah, they have the different colored ears and their faces a little bit piebald up. I'd like to get one of them with my dogs. But like I said, and John what is too. Anything that a dog will hunt, just like going, just because of the watching the dogs do their job.
Exactly.
If I had to, I'd get a dog that treats birds if I had to. Spares in the day. You say about them piebalds. I brought 2 out of Alabama. I was getting them mounted.
Mm-hmm.
The guy left his wife, and she throwed them out, and they spoiled.
Oh.
Yeah, we've had some pretty good times running dogs.
Sounds like it.
2020 Hummer.
Oh, yeah.
It seemed like I always got drawed out with that dog a bunch when we were doing the WTDA squirrel hunts. Yeah, that was a good dog. That was a really good dog. Yeah, Tucker and him battled it out a good bit at the hunts. It was either, it was always a close one every time. And I drew out Ron Smith a decent bit. He would come over to the WTDA hunts.
Yeah.
There was a lot of good
with
guys.
the iPod.
A lot of good guys in the squirrel hunts back. A lot of friends.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it was. We went to West Virginia. Had one at Potomac University. They had a cancer hunt. They called here and tried, so I helped. Half got it lined up for me. I think it only lasted 2 years, but we went down to there, and them people never seen a squirrel hunt. I think we had 15 spectators in our cast.
Sounds about like the last squirrel hunt I just went to.
Everybody was interested, and it was a good. I think I only run that 2 years. Boy and I went down to it because I was running Chloe, and he was running Halo. And I was out in my cast, and I kept telling him, I said, I got a coon dog.
Yeah.
I had my money on the boy. I figured that Halo dog would do all right down there. We come in, and here I beat him. I won the hunt. He went out backwards, I think, just clowning around.
Yeah.
I kept my boy out of a lot of trouble in the woods.
Definitely.
He would hunt by himself here when he come home from school. He'd take a dog and go out.
Yeah.
But I had everything set up. I had 14 feeders in here, between here and across the road. But that's what it took to make dogs.
Oh, yeah. Definitely.
When you're in the woods you draw a cast, and you'd tell you ain't hunting their dogs on a hot day.
Yep.
20 minutes, they're hunting, and, they're done. They're walking beside you panting, and your dog's going.
Mm-hmm.
That's about all I got.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
That's about it.
I really appreciate you guys taking the time today to do this with me.
Well, thank you.
Thanks for getting back to me. And, like I said before there, I'd kind of something I never thought would, come through. I was really, really happy you messaged me back, and I just wanting to get John's story on the squirrel dog.
Definitely. So. You can find me on Facebook and Instagram at Tree Talking Media. And until next time, keep them talking in the timber.